Hello, hello.
Let's go.
And we're off.
So, first and most important thing to know about this game is it's literally Mega Man X. Star can confirm.
Yeah, basically they've taken Mega Man X and just skinned it with demons.
Man, we only have Mega Man games in this marathon.
It's true.
Shoutouts to Capcom.
Shoutouts. But Demon's Crest, made by Capcom, third game in the Gargoyles Quest series. One of the weirder ones. Looks like Tsukigato is going for some back scratcher, seeing how close he can get to the first boss.
Oh, takes a hit.
Takes a hit. There's nothing you can do to speed this up besides play Japanese. Pretty straightforward fight. So this is 100%. We're going to be getting all the collectibles in this game. That includes health upgrades, that includes passive upgrades, and two things that allow you to use purchasable items called vials and scrolls.
Now, scrolls are basically worthless for the speed run, but just so you guys know, they're used for buying and casting magic spells, but they're prohibitively expensive and it takes too much time to buy them, so it doesn't make sense to do it in a speed setting.
And they're actively useless too.
Yeah, that is another good point. But we'll definitely be using vials.
Oh, definitely. Some of the bigger tricks in this game use vials. And Tsukigato is actually going to be dropping down here to get the first collectible of the game, the first scroll. You're going to see a lot of dropping down when usually you'd just be able to fly over the stage. Because in this version, Firebrand has infinite wing strength, so you can usually just fly over everything, which is one of the reasons why we like 100%, because it actually forces us to do all the levels and see a pretty significant chunk of the game.
So this first boss is Hippogriff. Relatively manipulatable. We'll see what happens here, though. Ideally, we want to get him on the ground because he likes to fly just out of reach.
Unfortunately, going up to the corner, getting only one feather though, so a decent fight for a not fully manipulated pattern.
So we pick up the health drop there. Move on. So you're going to see Suki shooting a lot either when he's falling or when he's jumping. And we do that because if you shoot while you're just walking on the ground, you get a little bit of a delay in maybe a quarter second or so. So you're always going to see Suki shooting, jumping, or falling whenever possible.
Right. This pause also occurs if you're just flying in the air and you're firing as well. You're forced to pause unless you're being affected by something like gravity.
So another manipulation coming up here. On this platform, Suki's going to jump at hopefully the right moment. That's going to cause a spider to come down. So he didn't get it fast enough there, so he's going to ride the platforms on the way up versus climbing that wall on the right, which is a slightly faster stretch.
That's about 5 seconds for ascent, right?
Yep, somewhere in there.
So this is Arma, aka General Pigeon, aka your worst reset nightmare in any percent. He can be slightly manipulated. Relatively recently, like within the last couple of months, we noticed a fairly consistent way to get him to move lower by walking under him. And you can also kind of position yourself so that he flies into a corner. See, there you see Tsukigato standing underneath Arma to get him to come lower faster. Still a lot of RNG in this fight, unfortunately, whether or not he's going to shoot a energy ball. But fairly solid fight from Tsukigato here, even killing Arma close to the ground so you don't have to wait for him to come to the bottom.
So unlike Mega Man X, Demon's Crest gives you the charge boots right away, whether you like it or not. So that item that we just got from the boss there is Ground Gargoyle. There's a couple things to know about Ground Gargoyle that are important. First thing first, you can see that he has a dash, and so this is obviously the fastest way to move throughout the game. But there's another important aspect of the Ground Gargoyle, and that's in the difference between two different shots that you. The first of which is the shot while Ground Gargoyle is in the air, and that only does 1 damage. But if you're standing on the ground and shoot, actually do 2 damage in 1 shot. So we're going to see a lot of fights coming up where Tsuki tries his hardest to hit the boss while he's standing down versus jumping in.
So clean set of damage boosts here in order to clip through enemies. Let's see if he gets the jump. Unfortunately, he didn't quite get the clean jump there where you can get through that without taking damage from the bats, but otherwise pretty clean. Here, the lights slowly turn off, so you have to memorize exactly where to go. But this is the easier of the 2 dark rooms and isn't too bad. But speaking of lag, you guys are going to love the next one.
This game has lots of lag.
Also has a decent chunk of lag reduction strats, too. So you're going to see Tsukigato riding up the ooze here. This is actually a lag reduction strategy. If you jump as the ooze is compressing, you can actually save upwards of 5 seconds versus just climbing on the left side.
So you can see here Suki's fighting on top of the ooze to try to get as many ground shots on these eyeballs as he can, because the eyeballs have 3 hit points. So if you get 1 shot on the ground and 1 shot in the air, you can drop an eyeball really, really quick. Now, unfortunately, that 1 eyeball is re-entered goo, but hopefully he can get it to come out.
Yeah, besides that 1 re-entering, this has been a pretty solid eyes so far.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all of them. Yeah, that was a pretty good fight. The big eye, fairly straightforward. Pretty consistent fight, too. Here, we're going for an off-screen pickup. Tsukigato not quite getting as low as he could go. It's totally possible to pick that item up completely off-screen, but we do that to prevent the item from bubbling all the way up to the top. So the lower you are, the faster this is.
Now, you might have missed it there, but one of the things you can do in this game is you get close enough to being able to jump up and through a ledge, the game will actually clip you up onto the ledge. So you saw it there with that first branch that Tsuki jumped on, and you'll see it a little bit later with a tornado item.
Yeah, the tornado is pretty important for making temporary platforms, but that'll be more clear to explain in a few specific rooms that we use them in. Again, switching over to Ground Gargoyle here, because it's going to be a mostly ground-based movement, and hoping you don't catch on fire. This is the Japanese version of the game. Sorry, Star, didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, that's all right. So this is the item, the breaker here that Tsuki used to destroy these blocks is what we got from the eyeball boss there. It's really important to get that as early as possible so that we can start collecting items on these levels without
that item that he got there is our first talisman. There's 5 throughout the game. They have a passive benefit, and we'll explain more about those later, but here we're taking an intentional death to go back to that room because we need to enter that boss room as fast as possible and leave so that we can despawn the canopy that was on fire, which is going to reveal hidden health power-up, or hidden health upgrade right here.
One of a few devious item placements in this game.
Yeah, there's some very cleverly hidden items in this game, including my favorite one, which is the very last pickup, but no spoilers on how that one's hidden. Again, similar to what Star was saying earlier, focusing on the ground hits in order to do as much damage as possible. Tsukigato getting kinda wrecked by this first phase. Let's see how phase 2 goes. Here, he's going to want to deal exactly 20 damage. Usually we'll be counting it out or something like that. So that, similar to the inside the goo pickup, we want to deal the final bit of damage inside of Flame Lord, so that we're able to pick up the item and skip a cutscene. I think he got it, yeah. It's a little close, but I'm pretty sure that's good.
So you don't even see the item come up there. Because as soon as the item spawns, Suki picks it up, and it avoids about 7 seconds worth of animation where you can't.
Do you want to explain headbutts?
Yeah, so headbutts are basically what we're trying to do is break 25 skulls before those torches burn all the way out. This is one kind of funny aspect of this game. It looks really, really easy, but it's actually quite difficult. People who start running this game for the first time, this is actually one of the biggest barriers to completing a run is this headbutt. Completing it with 4 torches left is generally considered to be pretty solid. But the task, of course, can do it in 5.
Yeah, I believe so far we've proven that 4 is the fastest that's humanly possible, as far as I'm aware.
An interesting fact, though, is that you don't actually need that health pickup to get the ending that we're going for in 100%.
Yeah, it's a really weird exception.
But this isn't 99%, crying out loud.
Again, utilizing that brick break in order to find another hidden item back here. I can never remember. It's a vial, right?
Yep.
It doesn't even matter. You're just like, oh, yep, I'm gonna grab it. Whatever it is.
This room has some really tight hovers to get underneath the pillars but not get hit by the spikes. We're going to be coming back here, so Suki has an opportunity himself.
This is also a windy room. You want to make sure that you're using normal Firebrand in this room, because it's hard to tell on stream, but there's actually a speed boost for whenever you're flying on that stage.
First refight here. Again, using Ground Gargoyle to maximize double damage shots. Now, ideally, we're going to kill this guy on the far right of the screen, especially since since he took some damage, he's going to want to pick up some health here.
Right, he didn't do the pause in order to get that last little dash that he was doing, but he killed him a little earlier, so it's not terrible. This is just a health restore, so ideally you could just leave, but if you're low on health, you're going to want to pick it up. Uh-oh, having a little bit of trouble with tornadoes here.
Tornado jumping is one of the trickier parts of this run, actually. It takes a while to kind of master the height to jump versus the amount of time tornadoes are on screen.
Yeah, ideally you don't even land on top of the tornado. You actually clip up to the top of the tornado. And here we're grabbing another one of those talismans. The first couple of talismans aren't very useful. The last 3 are used extensively, but the first 2 aren't really useful in this category. Going for a super tall climb, getting another one of those scrolls. Alright, time for Arma 2.
Now Suki's going to try to dash as soon as the fight starts and land a double hit, but it's actually kind of a tight timing, so we'll see if he gets it. Yep.
Nailed it. So Arma 2 has the randomness of Arma 1, but he's worse. In every respect.
A lot of hits.
Doing a pretty good job keeping him on the ground, though. This form of Arma also isn't as easily manipulated to come down as well, so there's some discussion for possible timings to knock him down consistently, but there still seems to be a significant chunk of RNG for when it knocks him down and when it doesn't.
Now when you get him to a certain hit points, he'll actually come to the ground like this and shoot tornadoes so you can get some hits, and that actually was a really nice fight.
Yeah, that was fairly solid. I don't think there were too many energy shots at all. Ooh, not dashing for the crest. That's going to lose him about a quarter of a second.
Come on, Suki. Get it together.
Suki, please. So now we're heading back in with the form that we just got from Arma 2. Every time you fight Arma, you actually get a new form to use. This is the Aerial Gargoyle, and it's the only form that allows you to ascend vertically with no downside.
Just like in Mega Man X, each boss has a damage table for every form that you have. So the boss that Suki's going to be getting to here shortly, the weakness is the flying form. So he's still going to switch to regular Firebrand here to get the speed boost for the Windy Room. But at the end of this room, he's going to switch to that flying form to maximize his damage on the boss.
If he times it right, there's also an early hit that he can get here. Let's see if he nails it.
Nope.
Oh, unfortunately didn't get it. It's pretty tight timing. What is it, 2 frames? One frame?
I think it's a single frame. When you transition into a boss, there's a single frame you have control. So basically what we do is we just mash shoot, and if you get the frame right, you get a hit on the boss before the fight even starts. There's a couple places where you can do that. One of them's really easy, so we'll show it to you a little bit later.
Yeah, first form of flyer, not too bad, pretty easily beaten, because it just takes so much damage and you have so much control. Next up is Griwan, aka the Bad Pupper, aka the Race Killer, aka count to an amount so you can concentrate. Oh, and he misses!
Suki with the...
Missing the level. Oh no.
That's gonna have him shaking his head for sure.
Hopefully Griwan goes well. Chat, call him the whiff.
The swag fly underneath the vulture though is definitely making up for it. So yeah, once we get flying form, it doesn't really make sense to go along the ground so much, so we can just kind of hop over all of the enemy. Relax. However,
Except the game knows this, so they flood tons of enemies in the sky.
There's also one little hidden item here that Suki can pick up in the skull pile. Now, normally we would use Ground Gargoyle for fights, but the damage table on this boss actually has regular Firebrand dealing the highest amount of damage, so we switch back.
Griwan's another one of those bosses that looks really easy and straightforward, but is actually kind of tough. So we're being very careful here in order to not drop down until the Griwan flinches. That's when he's vulnerable to attack. You also don't want to make sure not to move too early, because then he'll end up getting behind you. If your positioning's also off, he'll just breathe fire on you, and it's really bad. So it doesn't take much in order to get caught off guard and die to this boss. You're technically supposed to get a different form to attack this boss with, but in the grand scheme of things, it's actually faster to fight this boss with normal Firebrand, and use its attack on the next boss as opposed to the opposite direction.
Many resets have been had on this boss. So one thing to know about all of these levels is there's essentially 2 paths in every level with bosses at the end to complete. So each level that we go into, you're going to see us taking the first path and then the second path and then going back to the level. Now the ground on this level is ice, and it actually is slippery, so we want to make sure to stay off the ground as much as possible. So that's going to include like jumping as much as we can, making sure that we're never walking, we're always flying.
Again, another hidden item here. I believe this is a health upgrade. Yep. Yeah, it's funny. After a while, I don't even remember what actual upgrades are here. I just know you need to go there. With the exception of the ones that I miss. I know exactly what's there.
Here's a neat little damage boost where if you just jump up into that bat, he automatically will boost you onto the platform.
So we heard you liked the flyer fight. But what if we told you that it's like 10 times harder now?
Imagine a world where we do refights constantly.
Imagine, if you will, this was a Capcom game. Oh, wait. So this boss, again, is very similar to the last one. I don't think it has any new attacks or anything like that.
No.
But it has about twice the health and does about double damage. So you can really easily just lose control of this fight. Fortunately, it seems to be spinning quite a bit for Tsuki here.
Usually,
He's
like
maintaining control.
once this boss starts spinning, it kind of just goes into a loop. It's really easy to kill him very fast with the flyer.
It's very tempting also to do this fight in the air because you have so much aerial control, but you still want to keep him low so he's more likely to spin.
Here's the second dark room. Now this one's definitely a little bit more difficult, but the chandeliers give us really nice reference points for where we need to go. So you can't see it, but there's ledges and spikes and all sorts of different enemies on this level, but by kind of using the chandeliers as a reference point, avoid everything.
Yeah, casually what you're supposed to do in these dark rooms is switch to normal firebrand and light these chandeliers, but that's slow, so we don't do that.
And it's not nearly as impressive.
This attack right here is the free early hit that we were talking about. Pretty safe, pretty consistent. The two flyer fights, you'd be able to get an early hit, but this one's definitely the easiest one in the game. Let's see if he can force the fight against the wall.
Ooh, looks good.
Yeah, looking good so far. This one's a little iffy. Let's see if he can come down. Arma, no! Oh, I think he's losing it. I'm not sure what count he's on.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna come back.
There's an early pickup you can get here by killing him while being attached to the wall on the right, but you have to kill him on the far right, and you need to be on the far right, and it basically allows you to pick up the item as soon as it spawns right now. So you end up saving just a couple of seconds of flight item. Maybe even just 1.5.
So this is going to be the revisit portion of the run. A lot of what's going on here and the potions that Tsukigato is going to pick up is going to optimize revisiting locations and make it much faster to get the rest of the items in the game.
So the two potions that we're going to get are Mercury Potion and Sulfur, and we're going to get 2 of each. The Mercury Potion lets us go back to a previously visited section of the current level that we're in. Now, it might seem like kind of a dumb and useless potion, but what it lets us do is pick up a boss item and stay in the same level we're in without having to go to the world map and come back into the level. So what this allows for is a trick that we call cancel. So when you pick up an item from a boss that subsequently takes you out of the level, you actually have 2 frames where you can use one of these potions. So what we do is we pick up a boss item, and within those 2 frames, we use the Mercury potion, and that allows us to register the boss kill and the item pickup without having to re-navigate to the world map and play through the levels. So they're really difficult tricks, 2 frame, pretty tight here, but they actually save quite a bit of time. I think this one saves like 12 seconds on this boss.
Yeah, I believe it's 10 or 12 seconds for the first one and 15, 20 seconds for the second one.
So using the power we just got from the last boss fight to absolutely destroy the rest of the bosses. He does a lot of damage.
Oh no! Ah, that's not good.
So there's 3 distinct possibilities for cancels. One is just that you don't get it and you pick up the item, which is what happened there. So that means that Tsuki has to go back to the world map and play back through this level in town. The second of which is to get the cancel, which would have spawned Tsuki right here at this level, again bypassing the world map and bypassing the first section of town. Now the third possibility is what we call early, and that is the absolute worst. It brings you back to the level that we want to go, but it doesn't actually register the boss kill or the item pickup. So you have to actually go and refight the boss all over. Hilarious if you're watching, but very painful as a run.
So what Tsukigato picked up there is the first useful talisman. Armor's pretty useful too, but this one's going to be more extensively used for the hand. What the hand does, it allows you to have 1 extra attack for what you're currently using. So here, the Brick Break goes from having 2 on screen to 3 on screen. So it means we can clear all these columns really quickly. Tsuki, what are you doing?
Sketch! Alright.
Oh, that clutch bat kill. Oh man, that was really close to death. So what Stuki's gonna do here is break through this wall, use that sulfur he re-equipped to go back to the overworld without going to the end. So here, even though Aerial Gargoyle can be faster for avoiding obstacles, it's pretty straightforward to go through here with Ground Gargoyle, since it's a lot of horizontal ground-based movement. So it's pretty simple to dash through this section. For the next room, however, you can go through the whole thing with Ground Gargoyle, but it only saves about half a second to a second. So a lot of runners choose to take the way safer aerial over the second half.
Tsuki making me proud and opting for the Ground Gargoyle, though.
Alright, do we have time for a donation?
Sure.
Yeah.
Alright, we got $10 from Mr. Cab saying, bring him over, let's name some tennis players, 10 to name the hero role, and 10 for the partner CL. We have 2 incentives coming up very soon, which is the Zelda 2 file name and Mario Tennis later, which has some name you can donate to.
Tsuki using the second of 2 sulfurs to get out of this level.
So now we're heading to the last new level of the game. He's going to do both of the boss routes here before leaving, This is going to be the second place where you can do a Mercury cancel. This first section being fairly straightforward. But this next boss coming up can be a pain, I think would be saying it lightly. A lot of ground gargoyle dashing in order to plow through statues, as well as get that optimized movement.
Nice climb there.
So what breaking that first statue does is it triggers Crawler to fall in to the left, which in a casual playthrough you usually think, oh no, I need to run to the right so it doesn't damage me. But in the end, it turns out you can just damage boost through Crawler and grab the upgrade without having to revisit the stage.
So this guy can be a pain in the butt RNG-wise. It's pretty deep in the run. But if he chooses to do so, he can basically just crawl back and forth for anywhere up to about a minute or more. So what we want him to do is to open his eyeball up so that we can get as many hits off as possible.
This Crawler is being fairly good. Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Spoke too soon.
Oh, no, there we go. That wasn't
Not too bad.
That wasn't too bad at all. Let's see if he gets the second Mercury cancel.
You got it.
And
Yeah.
there we go.
So now you're
you
going to see the advantage.
Two of the ways that it happens. So he's going to go back to that previous room, which is where we got that health upgrade. And he's going to drop down at a fork in the road, which will take him to the next boss, without having to start all the way from the beginning. So Aqua Form is the form that he just got from the Crawler. And that allows him to use this form that you're seeing right here, which is one of the few forms that doesn't take damage from being underwater. So it's very important for getting through this next section.
The controls for this form are actually kind of difficult, so it might look easy to just kind of swim straight and shoot these little projectiles, but it actually is. It's a really, really weird control feature. Here you get to see the best of lag in Crest. One too many sprites on the block explosions.
And again, we want to make sure we're on hand here to get through those blocks just that little bit faster. Pretty good approach.
Yep, opted for some nice safety strats to avoid damage, fishmen. So even though we don't take damage underwater as Aqua, the damage output is actually quite garbage. So Suki's going to switch to the legendary gargoyle here to maximize his damage output as boss.
Now, this is another boss that's pretty heavy RNG, and is also really, really laggy as well. Ideally, you'll be able to kill the boss inside him as well to get another early pickup.
Hope he's going to go for it.
But it's pure RNG. It's really easy to get pulled out of the spot.
Yep.
I think it's 1 or 2 hits left. Ooh, he might get it.
Looks like 2 hits left.
He's facing the wrong direction.
He got it.
Oh, it's gonna be
he got
close. I'm not sure. I think if you can see Firebrand, you didn't get it, but he might get it. Yep, there it is.
Yep. So again, you don't even see the health that dropped from that boss because he killed the boss in the right position where he picked it up automatically. And that actually saves, what, another 5 to 7 seconds or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
But the fight is so random to actually set it up can actually take a lot longer than the time it saves. So usually we just try to kill the boss as fast as possible.
So last revisit here, going down the alternate path for the forest. Again, we're going to be cruising through here with the ultimate gargoyle, or legendary gargoyle. Unfortunately, getting some vertical shots off of that enemy right there. But the important thing here is racing the water cycle. This water's moving up and down, and ideally you can catch it so that the water is at its peak when you need to climb up the last room. I think he's gonna just miss it here.
Yep, but you can hop off of the wall there to get up on this side, which is slower if you miss the cycle, but you can actually do this room faster than the water. But in this case, that damage is extreme.
Another cleverly hidden health upgrade. So this boss, it's very important to kill them close to the same time to get rid of or have minimal death animations. But the last thing you want to do is kill the body first and the head last. It's really hard to damage the head on its own.
Yep. The head is just too short for you to hit with the legendary gargoyle shot.
And here we go, the final approach.
Tsuki opting to kill these jesters that come out of the window as a lag reduction strat. Nice.
And it wouldn't be a Capcom game without a boss rush.
Luckily, this form deals obscene amounts of damage, so these refights go really fast.
Come on, get down. There we go. Very good Hippogriff refight. Losing a tiny bit of time because he won't be able to avoid the health pickup here, but that's not too bad. So this next health upgrade is probably my favorite in the game. I don't know how you're supposed to find it in a casual playthrough, besides headbutting literally everything. But what Tsukigato is going to do here is he's going to switch to normal Firebrand with the Claw, which is going to be important in the next room, and just headbutt this bell. And a health upgrade falls off, because why not?
When I played this game originally when I was younger, this is definitely one of those drops where I had to put my tail between my legs and hop on GameFAQs.com to figure out where the heck it was.
This is another windy room as well. So you want to be normal Firebrand for as long as possible.
Now, this talisman is the most useful one for us, and it actually doubles the damage output.
Ooh, really good damageless spike pillar there.
That's actually really difficult to not.
Trying to get just high enough so that he avoids that spike wall. It's actually not too difficult to set that up. You can kind of slide under one of the columns, but you really want to make sure not to get over there. And our last refight with Griwan. You want to kill him as far to the right screen as possible, just to reduce travel time.
All right, on to phase 1 of Phalanx, the final boss.
So Phalanx has 3 forms. In any percent and doing it as little as possible, you only fight phase 1. Most people casually probably fought phase 1 and phase 2, because the only way you can unlock phase 3 is if you have every item pickup in the game. But we're super powerful at this point, so we're just going to plow through phase 1 like it's nothing.
What's tricky about this boss is that, unlike the rest of the bosses in the game, you don't receive an item that fills your health. So it's actually really important to take as little damage as possible on the first 2. Now, the most you're going to take out of the first phase is 2 damage, but get a little bit lucky and do it just right, get out of here with. This phase fills the room up with water, and also there's some new laggy attacks that failing you, like energy balls. Now, this is actually probably the worst attack that you can get from this boss.
Well,
in terms of
worst
lag.
attack at this point.
Yep.
There's a gravity well / black hole, which is literally the laggiest thing in this entire game, but Tsukigato's just gonna wreck the boss with an average amount of health going into the 3rd phase.
Now, this final phase, I firmly believe, is one of the most difficult of bosses in the entire SNES library.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Even the hidden boss is arguably easier than this one, though the hidden boss we generally actually need potions for.
True. So what Suki's going to go for here is a quick kill strategy where we damage boost really close to Final Form Phalanx's face and swing away. What he's going to try to do then is maintain his hover height as much as possible so that he doesn't have to jump from the platforms back into the boss too much. So we'll see how he does. Not hovering high enough, wisely chooses to exit. Now, the trick about this boss is you take 4 damage if you get hit by the body of the boss, but only, 1 if you take damage from energy balls.
Ooh, good double hit there. Looks like he's going to be playing it safe for a little while, then I would be surprised if he didn't go in for another set of close hits coming up here soon. You have to be very careful with the hands, though. Ooh, there we go. This might
really nice re-entry there. Very
there
nice
we go.
Fight.
Nice. That was a solid Phalanx 3.
Fight.
I can't blame him for playing it safe, especially in a marathon.
That was time, by the way, on the final.
GG.
GG Tsukigato.
G indeed.
42-29 on his splits. Very good. That's a very solid run.
We'll forget the time when you swoop down and miss the ice level, though. I don't even remember that happening.
I mean, I'm sure no one saw it, especially not all the people watching.
So yeah, that's Demon's Crest. The any % run is actually kind of interesting as well. It's quite amazing to see how fast you can actually beat this game. It only takes about 11 or 12 minutes.
about 12 minutes.
All right. So thank you for the run, Tsuki, and thanks for commentating Rogue and Star.